Hello and welcome back to another AP3 video. In today's video, we'll be going over AP Environmental Science topic 5.4, impacts of agricultural practices. We'll be going over everything that's important in this topic specifically, so let's get started. So as we can see, we have arable land. It's the ability to produce crops, as we can see from the image. The machine's basically doing its best to produce crops as fast as possible. Now, if not managing soil fertilizer wisely or correctly, they'll deplete the nutrients till it's no longer usable. So this is what's all important for arable land. So let's move over to our second topic for tilling. Now for tilling, how it's going to work is that anything that's in green is going to be the positives in the definition in this case. Anything red is going to be negative or what's bad. So tilling is basically the process of preparing soil in order to plant seeds, as we can see from the image. The good thing about it is that it removes non-crop plants and turns them into soil for nutrient purposes and provides some aeration. Basically, we're going to plant new seeds and prepare soil, and we're going to remove every non-crop that is not important. So what's the bad thing? Well, we have bare soil, and that can cause soil erosion from wind and water. Now, if the soil is enriched in nutrients, it's going to go through the body of water, causing eutrophication. And that's basically where a body of water becomes enriched with nutrients, leading to excessive growth of algae and other aquatic plants. Basically, just like a green layer on top of the water. Now, the effects of it is that it's going to cause excessive algae growth. So the algae is going to go on top of the water. And basically, there's going to be no direct sunlight. So the oxygen is going to decrease as well in the water. And because of that, the fish that are in the water are going to die. And the algae, because all the nutrients on top of the water will obviously, there won't be as much as there is because the algae is going to eat it. So the effects is going to be less O2 for the fish in the water because there's something blockading. There's a huge layer of growth of algae that's blocking sunlight from entering the water, so O2 is going to decrease and fish are going to die. It's hard, and it's also going to reduce water clarity, so the water is going to be also a lot dirtier, or if not, less clean. And then it's going to impact the soil structure, and it's going to release CO2 because we're using machines and they use fossil fuel. There's going to be a pattern with a lot of this information, so let's go over to the next topic now. That's what's all important for tilling. Now the third topic is going to be slash and burn agriculture. So this mainly happens in developing countries such as Brazil, and it happens typically in rainforests when there's no nutrient soil. Now what's the definition? Basically, it's going to happen when farmers grows enough food for themselves and family, and they're either going to cut the trees down and burn them and use that ash from burning the trees to add enrichment into the soil. Now how this works is that as we burn down all the trees, we're going to get those ashes and put it into soil to make the plants either more enrichment and nutrients or grow them faster. Now, the bad thing about that process is that it's unsustainable. It can't last forever because at some point there's going to be a decrease in the nutrients in the ashes as we burn down the trees. So think about it like a process that doesn't last forever, but it only helps limited amount of time. Now, nutrients provided by ashes are quickly used, so we have to move on to another part of the rainforest. So it's kind of like a loop. We're going to burn down more trees, use those nutrients until they run out for the soil and plant seeds until we move on to a different part of the rainforest. Eventually becomes like a desert-like area because, as we can see from the image, all the trees are cut down, so there's no trees for the process of photosynthesis. And just basically cutting down all the trees, we can't really produce as many plants or the ashes because there's not that much. It's only a limited resource. And then general pollution, again, CO2 up in the air because there's no process of photosynthesis of taking in carbon dioxide because trees are a carbon sink, and then habitat loss for whatever animals are living in the area of the rainforest. So that's all important for slash and burn agriculture. So then we have intensive agriculture. This is a little bit different. It's not really tested, but basically I gave an example of tomatoes because tomatoes, only some of them are going to be grown and offered at developing countries and grocery stores. The bad thing about it is that we're going to lose genetic diversity because as we can see from the image, there's a lot of tomatoes, but only some of them are going to be grown and offered in developing or developed countries and grocery stores. So we're going to lose the genetic diversity. So let's move on to synthetic fertilizer. So what is that basically? Synthetic fertilizer is a chemical manufactured substance used to enhance plant growth by providing essential nutrients. So basically we're just creating a fertilizer and we're going to add it into the crops and soil to maximize the growth of the crops. What's good about it, it's easy to transport, time release, so you can add it at a certain time, and you can control the time, or how long, how short it's gonna grow the crops, and it's customizable. What that basically means is that there's three important like chemicals. Most of the time when it comes to nutrients, we have potassium, phosphorus, and nitrogen. So we can control how much of each we have depending on the crop. Now there's a lot of downsides to it. So the water is going to be soluble, so runoff, and runoff is basically where the water is going to end up moving to rivers and ocean, and it's going to cross the whole process of eutrophication that was when we went over previously. It's often overused because a lot of people think, well, if I want to make my plants look really pretty or make them healthier and rich, I want to add more fertilizer in the soil so the crops can maximize growth as fast as possible and be rich in nutrients. And it does nothing to improve soil structure. We're actually damaging it. So that's what's important for synthetic fertilizer. So we're going to move on to organic fertilizer. It has the same purpose as adding enrichment of nutrients to crops and soil to increase the crops production. The problem is that it's different from synthetic fertilizer. We don't use artificials in synthetic. We actually use animal waste. In this case, when we talk about horse and cattle, we're going to use manure. So the good thing about it is that it can be worked to soil. Basically, it stays where you put it, and because due to it having partially digested vegetation, it improves the soil structure. It is the only thing in this whole topic that improves soil structure. So what's the bad thing about it? It must be gathered because it's waste. It could be anywhere inland, depending on where the cattle, horse, even some birds actually, where the waste goes. So we need to get it in one place. The nutrient levels are unknown, basically meaning the phosphorus, nitrogen, and potassium, it's not going to be the exact levels as we want, which is why synthetics is a little bit better when it comes to that, because we can customize it. In this case, we can't. And it's just harder to use. So that's what's important for organic fertilizer. And now, last but not least, we're going to talk about pesticide use and overuse. Basically, pesticide use is in order to obviously increase or maximize crop yield or the growth of the crops. And what we're going to do with that is we can do a lot of things. We can make it drought resistant, weed resistant, insect resistant. Depending on what you want to use for the pesticide, you can put it. Now, there's a lot of negatives to this. One of the biggest ones is that you can kill non-target species. In this case, we can go and talk about kill ladybugs or bees, and bees are really important because they help grow a lot of crops or plants. And then if we use too much of it, it can lead to pesticide treadmill. And this is like some terminology that College Board use. The best way to explain it is that, let's say for example, we want to use a pesticide in order to kill weeds, right? So we kill all the weeds for the crop to grow. However, as time progresses, the weed is going to get used to that specific pesticide that we used originally. So what we have to do is use a different type of pesticide in order to kill that weed because it got used to the old pesticide, and it's going to keep going because adaptation happens with the weed. And that's what's basically important when it comes to pesticide use and overuse. And this is what's important for topic 5.4. Again, anything that's in green is going to be the positives. Anything in red is going to be the negatives. There's a lot of words and definitions that are really important, like eutrophication. And this topic leads, there's more detail in Unit 8, but that word is really important because it's tested a lot on different types of units besides Unit 5. And that's about it for this specific topic. Thank you for watching another AP3 video. We'll see you on the next video.